Hello friends, welcome to another session of video tutorial on TestNG. In today's session, we are going to take a look at listeners which are available in TestNG. In particular, we are going to take a look at the two listeners. One is ITestListener and ISuiteListener. Please subscribe, like, share, comment the videos on this channel. If you have any training inquiries, please contact me at TechTrainerRaj@gmail.com. And let us see what listeners are first. Let us go back to TestNG.org. Let us go to documentation and search for listeners. Okay, the documentation says there are several interfaces that allow you to modify TestNG behavior. First of all, these listeners are interfaces and it allows you to modify the behavior of TestNG. Okay, the two which we are going to look at today are ISuiteListener and ITestListener. Since these are interfaces, there are methods available within these interfaces which we need to implement. Let us see how to implement these. Let me switch over to Eclipse. For this, I'm going to create another package. Right click on source main Java, new package, and I'm going to call it as edu.RajTech-Trainer.listener. Click on finish, and inside this I'm going to create a simple class. Called TestNG simple. Click on finish, and inside this class I'm going to have two methods or two test cases. So this is going to print ran test method 1. Okay, so let me import this annotation. Okay, I'm going to copy this and create another test case which I'm going to call it as method 2 and ran test method 2. Okay, so let us save this and let us run this first to see. Okay, TestNG test. Okay, the output whatever we got was ran test method 1 and ran test method 2, and both of them passed. Let me copy this and put it under notepad. Okay, suppose if I want to put some debug messages while running these test cases, how do I do that? I can make use of this ITestListener to achieve the same. Okay, let us see how to do that. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another class here. Okay, and then this class I'm going to call it as TestNG TestListener. Okay, click on finish. Okay, since this class is going to implement the ITestListener, implements ITestListener. Okay, let me import this and let me add unimplemented methods. So far there is no connection between this TestNG, which has got a test, and this listener. We will see how to connect these two later on, but before that there are few methods available with this ITestListener. Let us see what are those. Okay, on test start. So this gets invoked each time before a test will be invoked. So every time a test is run, on test start will be invoked. On test success. So this gets invoked each time a test succeeds. That means a test passes. Okay, so this will get invoked when the test fails, and this on test skipped will get invoked when the test case is skipped. Okay, on test failed but within success percentage. This gets invoked each time a method fails but has been annotated with success percentage, and this failure still keeps it within the success percentage requested. That means whatever the success percentage which you have specified with the test annotation, and if it is within the success percentage whatever you have mentioned in that parameter, then this gets invoked. So on start, invoked after a test class is instantiated and before any configuration method is called. So this gets invoked as soon as that test class is instantiated. That means an object of test class is created. So on finish, this is invoked after all the tests have run and all their configuration methods have been called. So that means after finishing all the test cases for that particular class, this gets invoked. So let us put some debug messages in here. Some simple debug messages. So sys out on test start method called. Okay, the same way I'm going to add it to the other methods also. On test success method called. On test failure method is called. And here on test skipped method is called. Okay, I'm not going to use this on test failure within success percentage as of now. I'm going to add debug message for on start method. The same thing I'm going to add it to on finish. So far we have implemented ITestListener through this TestNG TestListener class. Okay, so let me save this. Now let us see how to connect this test listener with this test class. For that, first thing is I go to this test class. I need to create a TestNG XML file. Convert to TestNG. I'm going to call it as listener, TestNG listener.xml. Click on finish. Okay, let me open up TestNG listener XML file. So here it will run all the test cases which are available in TestNG simple class. So let us see how to link this. Now under suite we need to create a listeners tag Under listeners tag, there is a listener tag available, and since we have created this TestNG TestListener class which implements ITestListener, this class name we have to provide it here. The class name is TestNG TestListener. Now whenever this TestNG simple test cases are run, it will look for the listener, which is TestNG TestListener. Currently we have added some debug messages to that. Whenever this test case is run, all the debug messages will get printed in the output. So let us save this. So now there is a link between the listener and the test classes. So let me run this TestNG XML file. Right click on TestNG listener XML file, run as TestNG suite. Okay, I need to provide the full path along with the package name here. For providing the package name, I'll copy it from the test case because both belongs to the same package. Okay. So that is why we were getting listener TestNG listener was not found in the project's class path. So you need to provide a full path including the package name. Okay, save it. Again, right click, run as TestNG suite. Okay, now you can see there is a lot more debug messages in here. So this is the one which we have run earlier. So let me decrease the font size a bit. Okay, so all we got was remote TestNG, detected TestNG, and ran test method 1 and ran test method 2. Here you can see a lot more debug messages. Since we have implemented onStart, so it starts off with onStart method called and onTestStart method. This is where the class gets instantiated when onStart method is called, and this will run the test method. Since our test succeeded, it ran onTestSuccess method, and then it went on to onTestStart method again for the second test, and finally it called onFinish method called. So this is how you can make use of the TestNG listeners available to modify the behavior of TestNG. Okay, so this is a simple example wherein I have added some debug messages within the listener class. You can also measure on start what is the time when it starts and on finish, and then you can measure the time difference for executing one particular class. So that would be one example. So this will be another interview question wherein they will ask, how do you take the screenshot only when the test fails? Whenever a test fails, this is guaranteed to run. That means this method on test failure is guaranteed to run. So you can put in the take screenshot code here. So whenever the test fails, then it is guaranteed that it is going to call this method which takes the screenshot. Okay, so there are several ways you can make use of these methods. Since all these methods have input parameter which is of ITest result, we can make use of this result instance, and get some more information out of it. For example, a result dot, you can get the host name, you can get instance name, get the method, get name, and get the parameters. So there are different methods available here which you can make use of as per your needs. This is how we can make use of ITestListener. Now let us take a look at ITestSuiteListener. I'm going to create a new class again. So TestNG Suite Listener. Provide the name, click on finish, and this class is going to implement ISuiteListener. Okay, let us add an implemented method. There are only two methods. One is onStart. This method is invoked before the suite runner starts, and this gets invoked when suite runner has run all the test suites. Okay, the other one is the first listener. Whatever we created was for tests, and this listener is for the suites. And each suite can have multiple test cases. Okay, like the other one, I'm going to add simple debug message. On finish executed. Okay, so since this has got only two methods, I'm simply printing some debug messages when the test suite starts and when the test suite finishes. Now there are two listeners available, test listener and the other one is suite listener. Now we have tagged test listener to this TestNG class. Now I have to tag this suite listener to this TestNG class. To do that, you have to go to TestNG listener XML file again. Under listeners, you can add as many listeners as you want. Again, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. This another listener is now TestNG suite listener. Okay. Earlier I had only one listener, which was test listener. Now I have added suite listener also under a listeners tag. So whenever this test case is run, now it is going to make use of these two listeners. Let us save this or run this now, or run as TestNG suite. As you can see, suite on start executed, suite on finish executed. This ran because there is a suite tag here with name suite. Suite on start executed, suite on finish executed. This suite is coming from this name here. Today we have learned how to make use of ITestListener and ISuiteListener to add some debug messages to the test cases. That is the end of today's session. Please stand by for more videos on this channel. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe the channel.